All right, let's get started. Bringing back JT, who was with us before, did a great job, and he's back with us tonight. Just a little bit about JT Ayers. Was a two-time Orange County Track Coach of the Year. He began coaching at Orange Lutheran and led that school to its first CIF Division III championship back in 2013. The following year, he went to his alma mater, Trabuco Hills, and became the head coach there. And since then, his athletes have broken 31 grade level records, 8 school records, 3 all-time Orange County records, and the team has also been ranked number 1 in Orange County in 2015, 16, and 18. All right, so welcome to JT Ayers, and tonight we're talking 300-meter hurdle training. JT?
Thanks. I love that you told everyone to minimize my face right before we did this presentation. I feel like it's my class that I'm teaching at school. Okay, welcome, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and before we get started, now that I have this platform, if you're here and you're listening to this presentation, I need you to know, and I'm also preaching to the choir for sure, you matter. You're a coach that cares about their kids, and in a season that has really been a disappointment from ups and downs, and we're so close to getting to the part of the track season where we really get our kids excited about competing and doing the best they can do. You need to know that what you do matters, and that these athletes, they need us. They need a community. They need a place to belong. They need to go out and work hard, and they need a reason to get up in the morning. So what you're doing is really, really important, and we need to, as hard as it is, strive through this together. Okay, so 300-meter hurdle race. It is a very kind of niche event. There's not a lot out there about this event, and most likely because there's no 300-meter hurdles in the next level. You're not going to see this race at college or in the pros. It is a high school event, and I love this event. And one reason I love this event is because not a lot of people know how to coach this event. So you can really do a good job with some really fast kids in your program. And I think routinely I have the conversation with athletes saying, hey, you want to be 10th in the county, in Orange County in the 400? Or do you want to be 10th in the state in the 300-meter hurdles? And I do think there's a lot of correlation between the type of athletes that should be hurdlers and the type of athletes that don't do hurdles. And so I hope that what we're going to discuss right now is going to be really, really helpful for you. And I have a lot in here. So let's start with, to be number 1, you have to train like you're number 2. Maurice Green said that, and I love that quote. And then every training that we have, regardless if you are a freshman and you're brand new to the sprint program and hurdle program at Trabuco Hills High School, or you're some state qualifying stud, you're going to train like you're number 2. And we're going to talk about ways you can kind of psychologically help athletes with that. And the hurdler is always a sprinter first. You might have said something that I say often is hurdlers don't win races. It's the sprinter that wins the race. The faster kid will win the race. Now, don't take that analogy too far, but the idea is we need to be training speed. And any hurdling that we do needs to be in correspondence to the speed that we're training our athletes to have and continue and to grow in. So let's start with this. And this is actually for 110 hurdles and 300 hurdles. What you do and how do you teach the event? Well, what I have decided to do is that instead of stretching myself out so thin and having too many different drills to do, I thought it'd be important to have a few drills that I thought were very, very important. And we're going to re-emphasize this over and over and over again. And muscle memory is going to play a factor to it. But we're also going to get really good at doing a smaller amount of things so the athletes are able to build on that. So what you'll see here is something that I literally just put on a Google document. I printed off, and the athletes took pictures of it, and they have it. And when I say go do your hurdle drills, they go and do them. And we do them often, pretty much at the end of the warm-up. We do not hurdle every single day, and I advise you not doing that because that's a really hard day. But let's say we're doing top speed, max velocity type work, 10-meter flies, 30-meter flies, whatever you're doing. My hurdlers will still go do drills at the end of their warm-up. And after that, then we get into stuff that has nothing to do with hurdles. It's just top speed. So I have a few things. Let me just show you. And feel free to take screenshots. None of this is something that I created. All of this is something that I felt was good for my athletes. And you're also going to see different stuff. I have a couple athletes in here that are state qualifiers. And I have a couple in here that are very, very new to this event. And so you're not just getting videos of me with the best athletes. You're getting everybody. And you're probably going to be able to pick them out too. So fence. We just get on the fence. Work on your trail legs. I even have some of my upper level varsity work on both trail legs just in case, and learning both of them. Rarely do they have to utilize one of them, but you'll see in a video I have one kid that is 14 stepping, and he's going to have to learn the other step in the 300-meter hurdles. So some of the cadences, some of the things that I try to tell the athletes is heel to your armpit. Try to get your heel up to your armpit and then drive your knee through. We don't want them just to pull their ankle over. We want them to drive their knee through. I even may stick my hand there and say, I need you to knee my hand. And then as soon as they bring their knee through, they get their foot back in the position to strike the ground in a perfect running stance so they can maximize force out of the ground and run fast. So we'll walk through this. Then we'll slowly go through this. And then we'll do it over and over and over again. Athletes like doing this because it gives them the opportunity to kind of work on some of that hip mobility while they do that. Okay, one thing you're going to see is that any of the drills that we do will never have more than 4 or 5 hurdles. The reason why is because I don't want them to get fatigued or start doing something wrong for a number of hurdles and start learning different ways of not to maximize their idea and their form over the hurdles. So one-step trail legs, just 4 to 5 hurdles. I take these 8 to 10 kind of, oh gosh, that poor kid. It's going to be hard for me not to coach the video that I have on here. 8 to 10 small steps. And you'll notice that I have a lot of guys on here and not girls. Same principles apply. You may shorten the hurdles a little bit. However, the reason there's guys on here is because I only coach guys at the moment. 8 to 10 small steps are basically what you would kind of measure off in a 4x1, just one after another, just kind of moving down. And again, we're trying to tell the kids to drive the trail leg through and then back down to maintain proper sprint mechanics. The hurdles are discounted because I want to work on form. If I see a kid that's doing something incorrectly, I stop them, we walk back, and we continue to do it. If your kid is having a really difficult time understanding the trail leg aspect, have them walk over the actual hurdle. So they bring their lead leg up, push it down, and then bring their trail leg through. So they understand kind of why they're doing it before you move them off to the side and have them do that. So trail legs, okay, then one-step lead legs. Again, 4 to 5 hurdles. Keep the same distance, 8 to 10 steps. And I actually have the kids work on a trail leg, just one step. They're working on a good rhythm. I want them to get used to pulling the leg down and having their trail leg come through. I don't really emphasize the trail leg here that much, but one thing that I do try to emphasize is a bent knee. Kids see the professionals in slow motion and they have straight legs. And they go, well, I have to do that too. By emphasizing the knee bent and pulling it down, your kids will actually start having a straight leg when they're hurdling, but they're getting their foot down with maximum force. The idea is we want their trail leg to come down with velocity, power, and it's going to keep them hopefully worked on balance. The lead leg can help if it's not coming down in the correct way. It's slightly the knee's bent and it's coming down in a fashion that doesn't allow them to push down with any force. They could be off balance. So this helps with balance as they're working through. And I'm going pretty quick through these. We call these Frenchies. The reason they're called Frenchies is because it comes from a French coach that coached multiple national record holders from Cuba. I don't even try to say his name, but it's Frenchie. So we call them Frenchies. Lean forward and put your lead leg just over the hurdle, pull it down. And it's really not that high. I like to emphasize the arm movement here. You can say things like check the time, pull your arm through. And the idea is that they're learning how to bring the lead leg down, trail leg through, and having good posture as they do it. So let gravity work. They don't have to do anything crazy. It's just literally, you can see from, this kid's name is Carl, his foot's not that high. And the hurdles aren't even, I think they're at the girls' 100-meter height. So they're not even that high. So pull the trail leg down and through. And this is what I typically say to them, down and through, down and through. You'll notice that from the screen at the very beginning. And by the way, if you reach out to me on Twitter at any moment, just DM me. I'll give you this entire presentation. You can watch the video again. Tim will make it available. And also, I can just send you my Google Doc. We're all in this together. It takes a village. So this is our last one for these double taps. So what's happening here is you're trying to pull the hips through, arms swing down, and it's working on that rhythm. His feet are a little too close together. What we want to see is like a nice rhythm with the feet. And literally I put clap 1, 2. Your feet should be, and the next one should, and I even will clap on occasion, just up and down, pop, 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 pop. It allows the kids to know to keep their head and balance moving forward. They have typically at the end of our track, I give them a point to look at. It's the top of the fence, or there's an M for Mustangs that they can stare at. And they're moving down the track, pushing their hips through. And this allows them and teaches them to maintain everything that we're trying to do with allowing speed to happen in between and through hurdles, through the barrier. The spacing is basically 8 to 10 steps, only 4 to 5 hurdles. The size, it varies. In the video, they're pretty low. I've put them high, and it doesn't really matter. I just don't want to scare kids for not being able to do this. Start slow. I have kids that are practicing hurdles this year, and they will not hurdle in a race. Next year they will. And the reason why is because I do not want to put a kid in a hurdle race that's not ready for it. The last thing I want is a kid going through a hurdle race, and the entire time, especially in the 300-meter hurdles, 8 times you're holding your breath, hoping this kid does not die. Don't do that. Put the kids that are able to run the hurdles in the race. If they're not able to do it yet, great. They run the 200, and they're working on strength and speed at the same time. So ramp ups, we don't do this every single day, but typically I'll put a bunch of hurdles down there. We're just focusing on speed. They're discounted. You'll see that some of the ways that I do it is 18 steps. Again, just like a 4x1 going off just 1, 2, all the way to 18, 22, 26, 26, 28. And I have kids that I need to move this further. You'll see that, Colin, and it's working on 3-step. And they're getting longer in distance, so they're really having to learn to push through their trail leg over the hurdle and get their trail leg form, their trail leg in the right position to push down and maintain 3-step. 3-step is about speed. And your 300-meter hurdlers can do this, even though they're never going to take 3 steps. They'll take 15, 17, or 14, 16, whatever. But we have fun with this. And the reason I'll just mention this is I have them race each other. And this is a heavy hurdle day, but I'll have them just go through. Here's 2 very new kids at the time going through hurdles. And I discount the height. These are just 110s, but I know we're going to talk about 3s. I like having the kids compete. Going back to the quote about you have to train like you're number 2. Have a kid start a little ahead and say, hey, freshman kid, don't get caught. And then have the other kid try to catch them. And that makes it a lot of fun. You'll see right here that these kids start getting real goofy. Discount in length. 110 hurdles, I discount. 300-meter hurdles, I never discount in length. Never. I will discount a 300-meter hurdle in height. And so that's one thing I want to make sure that I reemphasize here is at Trabuco, we never practice at the correct height for hurdling. I know that might sound controversial. My kids do not fall either. I know that's a bold statement. We haven't had a lot of kids that have fallen. I had one kid many years ago, and it was at Masters, and he was winning, and it still wakes me up at night in the middle of the night and makes me sad. However, the reason why we discount height at all times is because we're trying to maximize speed. Speed is the number one factor in these races. So let's talk about the actual race. if my screen is minimized, I just took a sip of cold water. So there you go. All right. So when you look at a race, there's different elements to the races. The ADP, CP, the creatine phosphate, that's basically your first 4 to 6 seconds. And that's in any race. Your first 4 to 6 seconds is free energy. Get out. It could be the 100, 200, 400, and the 300-meter hurdles. Well, if it makes you feel better, the first hurdle in the 300-meter hurdles is 45 meters away. Being that it's 45 meters away, your top stud guy can get there in under 6 seconds or 6 seconds or very close to 6 seconds. So when you tell an athlete they need to be the first to the first hurdle, there's a reason for that. You're telling them to get out with speed and they need to work on acceleration. The first hurdle we probably practice more than any other hurdle because it kind of dictates the rest of the race in many aspects. So you'll see that in a 300-meter hurdle race, we're right around here. So we have the ADP CP, which is the first 4 to 6 seconds. Not a lot of aerobic. I mean, this is what? I mean, gosh, some of our boy hurdlers are going to be right about here. I mean, we're talking like maybe less than 10% of this race is going to have any aerobic element to it all. We don't train a lot of aerobic. We do have some tempo aerobic work, but not when we go over hurdles. And the reason why is because I want to train them fast. And so the anaerobic lactic system is what we're really trying to achieve. So with that said, and with this kind of energy system model in place, okay, what does it look like? By the way, feel free to take screenshots at any moment. And direct message me on Twitter if you need help. All right, so I'm going to keep this kind of picture, this very high-tech picture that I put over here. Sorry about all the awful, not good at Photoshop, everybody. Okay, the phases of the race. The way that I look about the phases of this race are basically like there's 5 different sections. The start, first 45 meters, first hurdle. Then hurdle 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and that's the first 150. And the first 150 is very, very important to your race plan. We spend a lot of time working on the first 150. And I'll tell you how we work on that, and you'll see right here kind of a spoiler of how it works. But then what about the second half of the race? I'll tell you some ways you can do that. But I typically tell my athletes, we're taking care of the first 150, and then you take care of the next 150, which means you're going to race, you're going to fight, you're going to try to win no matter if you're behind or ahead or regardless of what's going on. In practices, we need to put our athletes into situations where they get used to being behind or being ahead or being right next to somebody that's equally good as them. What do? How do they finish hurdle number 8? And they're that kid at state finals or league finals or even at a dual meet. You need that third place, and it's between you and the rival high school who gets over that last hurdle efficiently and leans at the end. You need to prepare for that, practice for that. So you'll see that a whole section for me is hurdles 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the finish. Okay, so race plan. There's a couple people in the waiting room. I'll let them in. All right, here we go. I'm a teacher. I'm used to this. All right, so the start. First 45 minutes. It's acceleration day. If you're working on accelerations, this is the day you do it. So you're trying to teach your athlete, boy and or girl, to get to that first hurdle with purpose, with power. It is fast. They are getting there efficiently and fast. If they start jogging or they don't get out to that first hurdle, the first 4 to 6 seconds of this race, just like the ADP CP dictates, that energy system, it's free. If you don't use it, you lose it. So if you get out slow, if you're not getting to that first hurdle, you're going to have a really tough time doing this race to the best of your ability. So the first hurdle, 4 to 6 seconds, you get out. And here's an example. This kid's name is Carson. He's a senior at Trabuco. I think he was a junior here. So he's working. He's a big, tall kid. He's 6'5". Speed is tough for him, but he's working and trying to get there and getting through. You'll notice that I am timing it with a free lap device, 6.61. Pretty good. By the end of the season, I would love for him to be under 6. Like 590 would be awesome. So what happens after hurdle number 1 is really important, because you'll see a lot of athletes were on the first 2 hurdles, and then they'll try to get to hurdle number 3 and 4, and then they start dying. Well, that first 4 to 6 seconds, they got out really hard, but what happens after that? If they kept pouring it on and trying to go as hard as they could, they're going to die. Their energy system won't allow them to continue to go. So first hurdle, strong. You'll notice right here a free lap cone. If you have free lap, you're in. This is gonna be awesome for you. If you don't have free lap, you can use a stopwatch. Use a stopwatch. What I typically do is when an athlete's trail leg comes down, that's when I do his first hurdle. The reason why this is kind of far away, these is actually 6 small steps of mine, 9.5, 10 foot. It's very close to 2 meters. The reason why is because I do this every single time. Also, if this kid kicks this hurdle, he doesn't kick my very expensive cone. And I like the idea that the kid is learning not to go over the barrier, but to drive through it fast and efficiently. So this free lap cone is picking up. His chip is right underneath his belly button on his belt. And he's going through, and I'm teaching the kid, hey, I'm timing what happens after the hurdle, so you better drive through this thing quickly and fast. So the psychological aspect is there. So he's driving through, trying to get a great time. So hurdles 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. So first 4 to 6 seconds, ADP, CP, free energy. I tell the kids to carry their speed. So if they do a really good job at the first hurdle, carrying your speed, carrying that momentum is going to allow them to have a good split in between. And they do not continue to pour it on. I want them to be smart. I want them to be efficient. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. Do you tell kids to count steps, or you tell them not to count steps? I think my official answer to that is depends on the kid. However, I personally never tell kids to count steps, because I don't understand, and usually typically high school kids have a very tough time being able to count in their head and run as fast as they can. I want them to be running fast and efficiently. Well, again, in between hurdles are 2 and 3, or 1 and 2. It's not as fast as they can. So carry the speed. Let me refresh a little bit. ADP CP, first hurdle. Carson a second ago went 6.16 seconds. He carries his speed. He's probably going to be around 4.1 for this hurdle. And then he starts to build momentum and speed. And when he comes over here, he starts to move very fast. I want him going through hurdle number 4 at the 150 mark, which is where our scoreboard is. I want him moving very fast through there. Now it's on a turn. So sometimes I'll have kids walk over there, and part of their warm up at the end of their warm up is, hey, I just want you to go through this hurdle. Don't worry about steps. Don't worry about anything. Just go this hurdle. And I want you to work on being balanced and going through. I put my hand up. I'll hold a finger up. How many fingers am I holding up? I'll hold my hand up and give him a high five. Now Carson's 6'5", so I have to get on a box to give him a high five. But the main idea is you want them to carry their speed here. And then between hurdle number 2 and 3, you want to start build. These 2 splits are going to look very similar. I also think it's important I measure splits only the first 150. So I put a cone here, 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 and here. 6 small steps, about 2 meters roughly after each hurdle. I said free lap cones down here. I measure their splits in practices. I do not measure their splits in a meet. It's too difficult for me. I do get their first 150 though, and I'll explain why in a little bit what that looks like. All right, so I've kind of already said this. First 150. This is what our race plan is. And let's be honest, you probably, and if you did, you might have been one of the rare few that have ever seen a race plan for the 300-meter hurdles. The 200 meters, the 400 meters, they have race plans. But what about 300-meter hurdles? What's the race plan? So this is the race plan for us, and it works. So what is the formula? Okay, here's your big takeaway. Here's the formula you need between the first 150 and second 150 is right here. So what does the first 150 and second 150 need to look like? Now, if you're running a 400, we want roughly, this is for free. LA84 is all for free, but this one's for free. If you're running a 400, the first 200 and second 200, that split needs to be about a 2-second differential. Hopefully, right? I think Wade Van Niekerk went 2.07 and is the greatest of all time. And I'm sure he wanted that 0.07 back. So here's the thing. All the research that we've done, and I've put this out to other coaches, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to give them credit. So some of the work they've done is it needs to be a 0.6 to 1 second difference. And that means they're moving fast. And that also means, well, what does the second 150 look like? Well, here's Carson in September, and you're going to get an idea about what he's trying to do. And you'll see free lap cones down here. He's going from a 3-point start. So here's his splits. He went 6.09 and he stuttered. That's okay. 4.16, 4.12. We have a nice difference between these. He starts picking it up at 4.25 right here. So his 150 is 1862. I times that by 2. I get 37.2, and then I add either 0.6 to 1. So he's roughly right now running a 37.8 or a 38.2, which is really good. I was really happy with that day. So this is him doing his plan. And right after we're done with the splits, he comes over. I mean, it's a 150, so this is a lactic day, and I can add stuff to this, and I'll give you some workouts that we like to do. But there's a purpose behind every single training day we ever do. And so Carson knows this, and all my track athletes know this. So he's trying to he was really happy with 6.09, and he was happy with this 4.16, 4.12. Now, afterwards, I go, Carson, where do you think you can improve? He goes, I think I can get this closer to 4.20. And does that make a difference? Well, in the long run, yeah. Now he's at 37 lower. So he's, we're moving towards the right place. First 150, we need to focus on that when we're training. What do you do with the second 150? I'll explain in a second. So I made this actually this morning. My daughter laminated it. I apologize that it's so small. I'm not very good at math. And I also, as I made this, laughed at myself that I would love to have a kid that ran 17.5 in the first 150, but we don't have Reggie Wyatts or RG3s. Well, maybe you do. If you do, good for you, but I don't. Here's the thing though, is like in the meet, I am going to get when I see the smoke, I start the timer, kid takes off. When his trail leg comes down after hurdle number 4, I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to get, okay, well, he ran 19 flat. Okay, so as he's finishing, I'm excited. I'm going to look down at my cheat sheet real quick and go, 38.6 to 39 flat. Okay, that's kind of what he's doing right now. Let's see what he does. I don't have time to do math, and I'm not very good at doing math in my head, so I just made a little cheat sheet. And I can send this to you too. I made it on a Google Doc. So race plan. Okay, so here's Carson in January. I think it was January. You'll notice that I have tape on the ground. A coach from Texas and I were kind of collaborating, and like, how do you teach kids to get to, the first, try to get in 21 steps, try to get to the first hurdle without stuttering, and what foot goes first. And I was having some difficulty with some new kids that were fast. And we came up with these, and it's kind of like the Vince Anderson acceleration chart that has for the 100. And we've seen a little success in it. I still need to tweak with it. But so right here, Carson is coming through, hitting the tape mark actually. So he's coming through. I got him at 6.1. He 14 steps this. This is what we're working on that day. That was god awful, but efficient. That's okay. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be fast, right? All right, so he comes through, and I got my 19.01. Well, times it by 2, add 0.6 to 1. He's roughly running a 38.6 to 39 flat in there. And so this was his last rep. It was a little slower. We did actually 4 150s this day. First one was much faster. As time went on, it got a little slower, but we'll work. I'm happy with this because I know this 4.25 right here would have been faster if you got to the first hurdle quicker. It's a lot easier to carry your speed when you get to the first hurdle much faster. But look at the difference. This is a pretty good, I want these very close together, and this isn't that far off. So I was pretty happy with it. Okay, so how do you teach the hurdles 5 through 8, the rest of the race? Okay, this is actually the most fun thing that I do as a coach, and I have so much fun with this. I put hurdles, probably 4, but most of the time, hurdles 5, 6, 7, 8. I put them in lanes 7, 8, and 9. I like putting hurdles on the outside just in case they ever have to deal with that. And the skinny distance kids are in lane 1. Sprinters are in lane 2 through 4 or whatever. And so it makes sense the hurdlers go on the outside. I want to teach the kids the race, and I need to put them in different situations. So let's say we're running a workout where I need to teach them the last one. They run a 150, and then I give them a 90-second break, and then we're going to, all right, line up. I will send a freshman or sophomore that's brand new to hurdles, go, don't get caught. And then I'll take the varsity stud and go get them. And we call it sheeps and wolves. That's one thing. So now I'm teaching my stud to run after a kid, chase him down, and be smart about it. And then I'm teaching the younger kid to not get caught and run a little scared. Both are going to give a very good rep. And they're not going to be thinking about steps. They're not going to be thinking about anything except get over this barrier, get to the finish line before that kid. And then I make them do funny things like bow down to each other, and everyone laughs, and it's really fun. And I've gotten really good at like pacing kids and go, you're not going to catch them to the last hurdle. Go. And more often than not, it happens. But then I'll take the stud and I'll take a kid that I really need them to do a good rep, and I move the hurdles. So no hurdles for you. And I'll say, go catch Carson or go catch Isaac. And the kid will take off, and the kid with no hurdles will try to catch him. And now Carson's running a little scared. A kid that should be on the state podium is running scared. I'm putting kids in different situations for them to never be surprised when a race happens. If they take care of their first 150, I don't know what situation they're going to be in, but I need them to be prepared. So I like them to be prepared. Desire, race, run through the hurdles, get through the barriers. Form is great. Speed is all that matters. And you probably have seen great races where the kid that won California State Finals wasn't the best hurdler. Why? Because they were fast. So I've said that often. At Trabuco, we have not a lot of hurdlers. Last year, we had about 7 or 8 hurdlers before the season was shut down. Why so few? Because you have to learn to sprint, and you have to be a good sprinter before you're a hurdler. So a lot of my 400 runners are hurdlers. A lot of my probably be pretty good 200 runners are hurdlers. I'm even taking a kid that's a very good 100, 200 runner. He's great, and he probably will run 1086 in the 100 this year. The reason I say 1086 is because that's his goal. 1086 is great, but that's not getting you to state finals, and we're in Division 1. I mean, geez. So he's going to be a hurdler. We're going to teach him the hurdles, and he might get a little further because he learned how to hurdle and he learned how to use his speed efficiently. So here is splits of a good race. Here is Cameron Hurd, graduating in 2016. So here's his races. So 18.24, 19.3, it's a 1.09 difference. I was happy with that. It's very close to 1. And what he was doing is he was trying to see if he can get to that first 150 efficiently, because in the Mustang Roundup, didn't do a good job. I don't remember why he did not finish that race. Didn't get hurt. Arcadia went 18.51, and then he went 18.75. That's our school record right there, is 37.26 with a 0.2 difference. Why? It was raining. It was raining, and he couldn't get to the first 3 hurdles because he was afraid of slipping, and then he was behind, and he said, oh, no, I got to go. Man, look at that. That's a good time. And then at Orange County Champs, completely by himself, ran this. He would probably won by literally almost a half a hurdle length. And so he cruised it in because he had to run the 4x4 that day. And then you go on. So you'll notice that a kid, this was his goal, to 18.10 and then 18.7. And then he's trying to go 36.80. So I measured the 150 by the trail aid coming down, not when he actually goes over the actual barrier. That's just me, and it makes sense for me, and it's easy for me to visually see it and click the stopwatch. Here's Isaac. Isaac was in 2020, started the season at 38.6, was number 1 in the state. We were hoping he was go 37 low. This is his junior year. Man, kid was having a real tough time trying to figure out the race. And you'll notice that he had no problem really finishing if you look at the differences. He had problems with the first 150. So we had a lot of work to do. And you'll notice that his times came down. It takes time to figure out this race. Probably, you need races. You need opportunities. It's going to take 8 to 10 times for your kids to figure out the race and understand the difference between first 150, second 150. A good situation is the kid finishes the race, walks over and goes, what was my first 150? I go, it was 20.3. Goes, okay. I ran 41.3. That means I ran 21 flat. Okay. Oh, that's not so bad, but I can do the first 150 better. Like, okay, good. Your kids are now accountable to their own learning. You don't have to teach kids if you've taught them how to fish. You don't have to give them fish anymore. You know, that whole, analogy. So here's his progress through 2019, and he came back just, CIF finals, sick as a dog, but I was, did his best he could. High school kids. So here's Carson, his junior year, started the season out. First race ever with 19.3, then 19.8, 0.5 difference, 39.1. Very cool. Then he came back. He's like, I can do better than that. Came out and hit 19.07 and then went 19.8, 0.7. I love that he's trying to get out to the first 150 better. And then COVID shut everything down, but he was number 3 in the state at the time in his second race ever. And this kid was a good 400 runner as a sophomore. I taught him hurdles his junior year, in the offseason mostly. And here's Isaac. That's how he started his season. He almost did the opposite. 19 flat, then 19.5, and then he went 18.97, but it was he hit the last hurdle, so we had a little issue with the time. But he's still under a second and still ran 38.89. Okay, so here's something you should take a picture of or screenshot of, and I'll give you a second. This is for girls and guys. And Darren Lasky, who's the Exeter coach in the Central Valley, the guy is, his brain just works this way. And him and I've collaborated and talked a lot. We talked about the differences and what happens and what it can look like for girls and for guys, because we're finding for girl hurdlers, the difference is going to be a lot more closer to 1 second than 0.6. And, but the fact still remains. Energy systems are still the same. So what does it look like if you're going to go 37 flat? Well, 6 flat, 4. This is a hurdle 1 and 2, 4, 4, 1, 4, 2. And again, this is an Excel spreadsheet. This isn't perfect, but it gives you an idea about what we're striving for. Like if you want a kid to run 37 flat, well, you have to be getting that first hurdle a 6 flat or if not under. And then what happens to the rest of the race? So hopefully you got this. So this was my 2020 crew. This is how we started the season. This is what we were hoping for them to do. This is actually the times we were hoping them to accomplish. And I think they could have done it. It would have taken the entire season, but we were getting pretty close. And so this is what we thought it was going to look like. Isaac started the season at a 22:48 in the 200. And that was his first race in a dual meet. Well, the kid can run. That's fast to start the season. And so you'll notice that him being able to hit these times is based on speed. Slow kids that hurdle good can't run great races. So this is our practice plan. You'll just see that I take a lot of notes, and I love a lot of notes. I like to see their progress. I like to see what they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to do. And it's not always great every single time, but you'll see that they're trying to do something when they are practicing. So Carson is feeling pretty excited. He's like, I know I'm capable of getting a 4 flat or, after a race. Well, then I put him, this was a good day. 6'2", 4'1", 4'2", 4'2". And he was feeling pretty good. What do we need to work on? His overall acceleration. Get him lower down here. This follows. So practice the right plan. Have a plan. Be realistic and move forward. So here is Carson, his junior season. This is what we were hoping he was able to do. His sophomore season and his junior season. Now, he pretty much got close to this with 2 races. He went 38.8, I believe. Well, here's his goal this season, and we're getting close. Now we have a lot of meets, hopefully, a lot of dual meets, But even in a dual meet, he's not racing the competition. He's racing himself in the lane he's in, and I'm getting his splits. And hopefully we'll get there. If we get there, that'd be great. But the year like this year, do whatever you can, buddy. So here's some examples of workouts, and I'll end with this. So if we're talking about the lactic system, we're also talking about speed. What you don't see is speed workouts. Well, you have to run fast to get fast. So 10-meter flies with a good amount of recovery in between. 30-meter flies, good amount of recovery. Measure them, use a free lap device, something. Videotape the kids, show them what their form looks like. If you can set up wickets in a really good way, maximize stride frequency and stride length at the same time, that's speed. But what about when they're actually going over hurdles? Well, my 400 runners and my hurdlers are going to do very similar workouts, just I'm going to add a barrier for the 300-meter hurdlers. I love the 150, 150, 120. We do sets of 2, maybe not even more than 2, sometimes 3. Full recovery in between, but the kids will start here to do a 150, and I can even have them like walk back a little bit, run a like to here, run a 150, walk back, do a 120. A good friend of mine in Colorado likes this workout where he runs the first 150 and he measures them, he times them. He goes, all right, just walk back your own pace. The kid walks back 2 hurdles. Then he goes from here to here, walks back 2 hurdles, then goes from here to here. The reason why a 90-second break, and that's basically how long it takes to walk 2 hurdles, 90-second break is you're tricking the lactic system a little bit. You're not giving them full recovery. Obviously, it's only 90 seconds. But what you are doing is you're giving them just a moment to catch their breath and then run through that lactic acid buildup. And that threshold will increase, and kids will be finishing their races well, and they won't be dying with hurdles 6, 7, and 8 still to go. They'll still be moving because they've trained for that. Sheeps and wolves. I like doing we're doing 150s, and I'm going to give you full recovery in between. You'll notice I have a lot of full recovery on here. The reason why is because I want the kids to be at least recovered enough to be able to give me a adequate amount of effort here. And I'm okay that they're tired and that lactic acid is building up here because that's what's going to happen in a race. So we train for the race. Another good workout is you lactic stack this, and you can do this with your 400 runners too, is the guy will do a 250, which is roughly, we're saying to hurdle number 6 or 7, probably 7. And you go over hurdle 7, you walk back to hurdle number 5. Hurdle 5 gives a lot of people trouble because it's kind of angled and there's a lot of hurdles there. And that's the hurdle I always fell on. So this is where I sheeps and wolves it. And let's go. Race people. Go through it. Have fun with hurdles. Have fun with training. Make it intense. This race is only 300 meters. It is very different than a 400. And the float phase is much, much shorter. And so that I don't use float, by the way, I use the word carry because high school kids have a really tough time understanding float. So I say carry. And you will find a lot more success by following a race plan and practicing a race plan where the kids have an idea about what they should be doing. And then I wrote down speed. We talked about that. Fast kids run fast races. All right. That's it. You guys can reach out to me on email, JT Ayers. I'm sorry, Coach JT Ayers at Gmail, or you can reach out to me on Twitter, just at JT Ayers, and I'm happy to help and happy to collaborate.
Excellent.
All right.
We got some questions, if you don't mind. We got about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, sorry it took so long.
Let's start with this. Hurdle height in the drills, does it go up as the year goes on?
Okay, so it depends on the kid. It's a great question, and I probably should have said something more to this effect. So what you saw with Carson and a couple of the kids doing 300-meter hurdles, they are never hurdling ever at the actual hurdle height that a race will be in. And so I will put it one click up, and I won't put it at the actual height for the boys. And the girls, it's already down anyways, so just keep it there. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to emphasize speed, and you don't want the kids to freak out about actually jumping over the hurdles. And so my dad likes to say things, he's also my assistant coach, he likes to say things like, step over the hurdle. And I think that's a nice analogy. The The idea, though, is speed. And so discount the hurdle. They're not going to fall in a race. Most likely, if you videotape them in slow motion or take a picture, they're already this high over the hurdle anyways, right? So, yeah, discount them.
Yeah, could you go over that term, somebody discount with a question mark, discount height and distance? Could you just explain what you mean by discount?
Okay, discount in height. So if a 300-meter hurdler you push it up 2 clicks, I only do 1. And so I do not discount length in the 300-meter hurdles. The reason why is we're trying to teach them that rhythm. And if you discount the length, it really messes with the kids. So 110s, you can discount the length and height a lot, but you don't do that in the 300-meter hurdles. So discount the height, not the length.
That's what Coach Blackett stressed also in the 100-meter hurdle training she was talking about. Do you ever advocate racing at discounted height in an early season meet?
Oh, no. I mean, there's some leagues that will have Frosh Soft go at a different height. I know the Trinity League does that because I coached in that league for a long time ago. And that's cool because you're teaching kids how to do the hurdles without, when they haven't really grown that much. But no. We practice at a discounted height and we race at the correct height and we don't fall and the kids run great.
Okay. All right. Speaking of ideal height, there's a question. What is the ideal height of an athlete for the 110 highs?
Are they fast? There you go. That's the answer. Because in high school, their hurdles aren't that high anyways. Yeah, I don't have an ideal height. I'm 5'9", and I ran just fine. So higher than 5'9". There you go. There's your answer.
All right. For your beginners in the 300 hurdles, you try to get them to work lead leg with the left.
No. That's a great question. I think that's more of a college question because what I'm there's so many different goals that I'm trying to get these kids to do. And the main goal is not about which leg to go over. I want them to be comfortable with which leg goes over. Now, most of the time, the trail leg is the right and the lead leg is the left because kids are right-footed most of the time and they jump when they do a layup on the right foot. I mean, it just makes sense for them to push and explode through the right foot. That's not always the case. If a kid is going to have a different trail leg than right, and their lead leg is going to be right and their trail leg is going to be left, so be it. I mean, it's not ideal all the time, but again, speed. If he's going to run faster or she's going to run faster through the barriers with that trail leg, so be it.
Okay. What's your definition of full recovery?
Oh, good question. 10 to 15 minutes. And sometimes when a kid's dying, I go, hey, you know what? I'll give you an extra couple minutes. You need a couple minutes? Coach, please. If you give me 3 extra minutes, I'll run the world record. I'm like, oh, that's great. All right. You get 3 extra minutes.
All right. Here's a question I don't think I've ever seen before. Do you ever have them do a workout running 200s with 10 hurdles? So twice as many hurdles.
Ooh, that's a good question. Now in the 110s, I mean, today I had kids do 12 hurdles and they were discounted but the 300s, no, I don't because I don't care about the barriers. I care about the speed and I care about the distance. I like the idea of it. However, I don't see the rationale in adding hurdles, and I could be wrong, but I don't see the rationale in adding hurdles after the fact or even in the middle. Like I still want the first hurdle to be 45 meters and I still want the next hurdle to be 35. Now, if I want kids to run the 400-meter hurdles, well, that's a whole different race plan, and I'm not teaching really that lactic acid kind of stack workout that the race asked for. So the first 150 changes because now if it's a 400-meter hurdles and you're adding 2 hurdles, now it's 200 meters it's a whole different concept. I want them fast. I don't need them to run extra hurdles or distance. However, there are clever ways to do that. I just haven't done it.
All right. There's a couple questions on drills again. On the Frenchie drill, should they actually touch and move the hurdle with the lead leg?
It's not. Yeah, I mean, yes, but it's not a. How about this? The video you saw where the kids were moving the hurdles, there was no weights in them because those are just throwaway hurdles that are in the corner and getting rained on all the time. So if they move it, great. It's not something that I'm constantly on them about.
Okay. On the double taps drill, how do you keep kids from galloping?
The hurdles they're not spaced enough apart for them to gallop. And so I'm okay with them. I just want them to have a rhythm of moving through their hurdles. And so when they come down the 1-2 and I give them a clap, their feet will just pitter patter again, pop up, and then they go up and pop up and go again. You're teaching them rhythm in that drill by pushing their hips forward and getting over the hurdles and getting their feet down and maintaining a good posture without, jumping up all over the place and stuff. So, it's a drill. It's not the actual race.
Okay. Here's an interesting. Are drills part of warm-up, or are the drills done after warm-up?
Depends on the day. If we're doing a heavy hurdle day, then it will be after warm-up and will be part of the workout. If it's not part of, we're doing max velocity that day, but I want them to learn and just keep doing some drills. It's at the end of warm-up. So I'll have the, hurdlers, head of the corner. They'll go over there, but I'll finish the warm-up with the rest of the sprinters, jumpers, and pole vaulters who all warm up with me.
Okay. How do you split time between workouts for 110 and 300 hurdles?
Oh, good question. Well, 110 hurdles. If your hurdlers are doing both, which some do and some don't, it's not a requirement for me because some of those kids will run the 400 and 300 meter hurdles. And I have some 110 hurdlers that don't do the threes. They do the 200 instead. Depends on the kid. The way you break it up is you just have what type of workout are you trying to do that day? If you're doing max velocity, then neither one of those kids are doing hurdles. If you're doing acceleration work, well, it could be all 110s or maybe it can be all 300s. If it's a lactic stack or you're trying to do a lactic workout, lactic capacity, something where your 400 meter runners are doing some heavy or hard meters, well, everyone's doing 300s if they're hurdlers that day. So it depends on what your goal for the workout is. That depends on who does what in regards to hurdles. You don't have to hurdle as much as you think, though. A lot of coaches, and I see this everywhere, a lot of coaches hurdle every day, and they hurdle slow a lot. And I would say don't do that. You don't need to hurdle as much as you think. The drills will take care of what the form looks like. You worry about speed and you worry about efficiency over the hurdles, and they will come together.
Okay. What's the best lane to race in a 300 hurdle?
The one that wins. No. Tell your kids that it means 300 meters around everywhere. Gosh, when Wade Van Niekerk won and broke the world record on the 400 at a lane 8, which is like a lane 9 for most of us, it's the best thing that ever happened to a high school sprint coach.
Okay. You got a couple of comments. That was a good one, by the way, from a couple of people on that. All right. Can you please share a typical training week or macro cycle in the beginning of the season and then one at the end of the season?
Oh, $1 million question for every LA 84.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, typically at the beginning of my season, a normal season, the first 2 months, we'll call it January, February, is going to be, I like doing accelerations at the beginning of the week. And then I like having, right after that, some max velocity. The next day, we typically will, take off or we'll do drills and we'll go slow. Because we go 6 days a week. Thursday, we'll go, actually, let me rephrase. Accelerations early in the week. Tuesday is typically like an early season, some high intensity tempos. We don't run slow. We don't run at ever 75% or below. We run 85% or higher, but there's still tempos, and so you can make inferences about what kind of meters I'm doing. Wednesday, because we did a high tempo lactic style type of workout, we take the next day off because the way that I think is that a lactic day is going to ruin tomorrow. So I let it ruin tomorrow. And then Wednesday is kind of doing drills. I'm a big RPR guy. I like RPR. I like doing Rudiment series by Dan Paff, things like that. Thursday, max velocity, speed. Early season, yeah, we're running fast. And then Friday, I give the kids off. completely. They don't even come. And then Saturday we'll do a lactic or a lactic power, which is like we're not stacking anything. As the season progresses, a month before season, so I would say probably February, March, accelerations are still on Mondays. Tuesdays we turn into speed days. Wednesday we kind of do the same kind of thing, recovery. Thursday turns into a lactic. Friday's off. Saturday I turn into a lactic or speed day. And then as the season progresses, I'm very Brian Fitzgerald in this sense. The best workout you have is the dual meets or track meets you have. And so my kids will run 3 or 4 events regardless of who they are. And everybody's running the 4x4 because I want to make sure you got a good workout at the end of that day. So, I mean, if your Wednesday's a dual meet, then you can do whatever you want on Monday. I like doing speed or accelerations if I feel like we need it, but speed on Mondays. Tuesday pre-meet, Wednesday meet, Thursday speed drills pretty much off. And then Friday, depending if we have a meet on Saturday, Friday we're doing speed and Saturday's something if we want to do it too. I'm a lower volume kind of guy. Maybe you saw from the presentation, but we still run. I'm not too much of a low volume guy. But we run fast and we're in spikes often, if not all the time. And I like a lot of full recovery in between a lot of my workouts because I want quality, not quantity.
Excellent. This question is, you mentioned the word free lap a lot. Is that a thing? So they're talking about the program. And then the question is, does it cost money and where do you buy it?
Oh, it costs money. Think of it like this. It's going to be as much as an assistant coach is for your program. The free lap device is really cool. And I had a coach tell me about it about 3 years ago, and I just went all in. It's basically you get these little chips, and they clip onto your belt, and it's Bluetooth. So you get fully automatic times instantaneously to your app on your phone or your iPad, whatever you're using. I use usually my phone. And when we use it for distance, we use it for speed, we use it for max velocity. You can figure out your miles per hour if you wanted to with it. There's some calculations for it. I know exactly who my fastest kids are at all moments, and I know what they're flying, 100s, 300s, 100s, 30s, 10s. I know what the splits are for the hurdles. Free lap, you can go and find them at Simply Faster, on trackandfield.com. You can go a bunch of places. But I want to warn you, they're expensive. The cones you saw were $150, and I have 4 of them each. And the chips can be $150 to $250 each. And I have 9. I used to have 12. A couple of them walked off, and it still makes me sad. So regardless, every year I fundraise, and every year I buy more free lap chips and device, and it's the best thing in the world. When I tell you it's their best coach, it is. The kids see their times, and I don't have to coach them. They see what they're doing, and then I progress it, and so they see and I record it so they see their progress as the season goes on. So yeah, free lap device. I would definitely have a car wash and go get one of those, a fundraise for that thing.
There you go. I think we're going to stop there. We got through most of those questions there. JT, thank you so much. And JT is sincere when he says get in contact with him. You got to go on his website. You got to see all that stuff. And we put his email in the chat so you can get that PowerPoint presentation. That stuff on the drills and the explanation and the examples, that's gold right there. So you should get that, show it to your kids. You can watch it yourself time and time again. And so, JT, thank you so much. We appreciate it very much. And again, if you see JT and me, go talk to him. You got a girl trying to 3-step, he'll talk to you for days about it, until you figure out what's going on. So thanks so much, JT. Just a reminder, we'll be back tomorrow night with Nick Garcia, talking about trying to be strong, powerful, and explosive. So it should be a great last night, and we really do appreciate you being involved. JT is absolutely right. You're part of the solution by including yourself in these clinics, and you're improving, and all the kids that you have are going to benefit from it. So once again, thank you, JT, and everybody else. Good night. JT, you want to say good night?
Yeah, good night, everybody. See you guys at track meets.
There you go. All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.